And we're live. Welcome, guys. I know Cal-El's in the building. Some Max guy. What's up, Max Alexander? We're going to talk about Man of Steel in this one. With me today is the Nerd Man, and he's got some opinions about Man of Steel. And I got some opinions about Man of Steel.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So hi guys, everyone. I'm the Nerd Man, and as I said, I've got channel Hot Takes Tuesdays, and I discuss a lot of Snyder recently. I've been trying to discuss other things, but it's like a lot of Snyder. Every day something new comes up with the DCU. So, so how do we start this? Is this like a debate kind of?
Yeah, this is a debate. This is right.
Hey, all right. Do you want me? Should I just give you just because I want to qualify something very, straight off the bat, which is I really understand why people like Man of Steel. I really do. I think there are so many good things about it. The score, the cinematography, the action. I think for the most part, people do a real good job in the in the acting department. It makes so much sense to me why people like the movie, but it is still a disappointment as a Superman fan, and it's a disappointment only because there are things in it that I don't think everybody knew. Because I think you're like you actually know your Superman quite well, actually. So you know your comics quite well. So I'm not gonna talk down to you in that sense. But I think a lot of people, it's kind of like the New 52 phenomena, where a lot of people started reading from New 52, and it divided audiences because they were doing very different things with the characters in New 52 than was traditionally the case. So with Man of Steel, I think it's the same kind of phenomenon. There's a lot of new people who watch it, aren't so familiar with the older Superman kind of stuff, and just think, wow, look at this deep, scenes with, with the childhood where he's learning his powers. I've never seen Superman like that before. And they're right, but there's some other problems and issues that I'll talk to, both on, as a fanboy of hey, this isn't Superman necessarily, and then also on a script level. But let me hear you out. Let me hear what you have to say.
Well, there are some things I do agree with you when it comes to Man of Steel about like the script and stuff like that. I mean, there are some problems with it. There's some moments that like I laugh at like during the movie, especially the boy child line when they're in the Krypton. He's like, we had a child Zod, a boy child. Like it's just so awkward. The delivery and the writing of the scene. I get some of those complaints, but yeah, I'm a big fan of the movie. It's the only Superman film I really like. Like, I mean, we're going back to like the 78 Superman and then Superman Returns and stuff. Like, there's some elements about those films I like, but they really bore me. They really bore me, honestly. I mean,
can I ask you something? Good. First of all, I want to say, by the way, guys, I'm a really big fan of Lantern 2814, and for the most part, we actually agree on a lot of stuff. So I do like BVS. I've probably got a few more problems with it than you. We both have I'd say a hate relationship with the MCU, maybe, at least some parts of it. So I agree with a lot of what he says, and I respect his opinions a lot. That being said, so you were saying you don't like the 78 Superman, and can I ask just your age roughly? Like
I'm 26, so yeah.
20. I don't think you should like the old 78 Superman. I really don't. I mean, I think I love it, but like I know that it doesn't hold up. It does hold up to me in some ways. I think the cinematography is excellent. I think the score is sumptuous. The performance by Christopher Reeves is actually fucking good. I mean, it really is. Like the duality, whether you think it's a goofy take or not, still it's kind of hard to play that duality the way he did. So those are aspects of the movie I really like. And I actually like the first 15 minutes of that movie more than anything, where it's more serious. And then when he goes to Metropolis, it gets a little bit more goofy. But anyway, so in terms of that, I don't expect you to like it. It's like liking the Wonder Woman from the 70s, right?
Yeah,
it's
the
just,
TV show. Yeah.
It's not the thing, you know, it's a different time. It was good for then. And the thing with me is you always have to reinterpret these mythologies for a new generation. But I don't think Man of Steel successfully did that. And that's where we're gonna have the debate. So should I just let me go through what I don't like? Maybe yeah.
But first I just want to speak more about the Christopher Reeves, because like you said, his performance is so iconic that they reuse his face in the comics over and over. And he's even in Man of Steel for a split second where he looks up into the world engine. Yeah, they CG Christopher Reeve's face onto Henry Cavill. So
did this. No, okay, wow, I didn't know that.
It's like a split second. You have to pause it to see it, but like they definitely tried to honor Christopher Reeves and stuff like that, and that's why that role's so iconic. You know what I'm saying? Like every interpretation of Superman in some way has to honor it. But yeah, like you said, it was before my time. Special effects don't hold up. I actually like Superman 2 a little bit more than the other ones, because Zod and everything. Yeah.
Deal before Zod. Why do you say things to me, John? It's so funny.
Yeah.
Why do you say these things? You know I will kill you.
But Zod in Man of Steel also has some pretty iconic lines and stuff.
I like him for the most part. I just don't think I like the performance. I don't think the motivation is there. I think the motivation is all over the place in the film, and this is where we're going to start getting into the problems of why it just. Okay, so there seems to be in Zack Snyder films, and if I was going to give him one critique, and if he improved on this, I think he would just be such a better filmmaker. But there seems to be in him, one, he tries to overcomplicate motivations. And then secondly, underneath that, the motivations of people don't really kind of make sense to what they do versus what is motivating them seems at odds with each other. So you've got Zod, for instance, right, as as this character or as the villain. And he's basically he's trying to rebuild Krypton. His whole motivation is that, I have to be for the survival of my species, all of this kind of stuff. So he gets to a planet where he's basically made into a god, right? And his people are made into gods. And you'd think, well, what would be the most sensible thing to do here? Why not piss off the only guy who can stop me? Why not do that, right? Like, instead, why not just bring the Kryptonians back and enslave everyone, because we'll be gods on this planet? It doesn't. It just seems to me like this overcooking, like it had to be. We're gonna release world engines and terraform the Earth and all of this kind of stuff. It just, the motivation and the actions are opposed to each other. And the Kryptonians, they're dumb. It's like they can space travel. Like they can travel to Earth. They've already done it. They've traveled to other, planets, and yet they're just staying on a doomed planet. You're just like, why are you doing this? I think you're all idiots, suicidal maniacs. I can't follow you and stay with that logic. So to me, it's just like, why complicate it? Just make it simple. Zod, as in the classical one, wants to rule the world and enslave humanity, and the Kryptonians, they don't have space travel yet. Jor-El's just a really brilliant scientist who's come up with this thing. It just solves all the problems, but there's just this overcomplicating that sometimes doesn't work. And I'll go into the stuff with Superman as well, where that kind of plays out as well. But your response.
Well, yeah, I understand maybe some of the motivations are a little fuzzy when it comes to Zod, but I still think the overall motivation that he wants to save his race, I think, is the most prevalent one. It's not
what he's doing is go on, please.
And Yeah, the whole terraforming Earth thing is weird because they would have all superpowers and stuff. But there is a specific line where he says, "So we all have to suffer like you did." He doesn't want the Kryptonian people to suffer through their changing into superpowered beings like Kal-El did when he was a kid. Which another thing, like Kal-El did it easily, so I don't know why like Zod would be mad about it.
Exactly. It's just
is he worried that like some Kryptonians would just straight up die from the process? Does he care? I don't know, but they do try very hard to make Zod pretty determined in his motivation, especially near the end with the fight. He gives this whole speech about how Kal-El took everything from him and like his whole purpose of being is gone, and that's why he's going to kill everybody on the planet. That's where the motivation. That's where I like Zod the best. Like the whole movie up to that point is a little hazy, but when Kal-El takes everything from him, that's where it becomes like straight up. That's the Zod I want to see. Like just the hatred in his eyes and stuff like that.
Zod though once would it have hurt that much?
He didn't say Neil before Zod. No.
But you're right.
Wait. But Zod did kneel in front of Superman before he got his neck snapped. You know what I'm saying?
But I think you're right. To an extent, I think the performance carries it through a lot. I don't know he's such a strong villain if you're just talking about it from a writing standpoint, but obviously, Michael Shannon?
Yeah.
He's a great actor. I mean, so he's always going to pull it through. But okay, so because you've got me on a kind of thing where I'm like, what is my problem with Man of Steel? But look, I want to, because I think often people criticize Man of Steel from like a fanboy kind of like, I'm a Superman fan and it's not traditional Superman or something like that. And some people actually I've seen really want like a Chris Reeves Superman again. And I think that's the dumbest idea because as you said, it's like that's of its time, right?
Yeah.
You need something a little bit in the tone of Man of Steel now. But I just think you have to add some more logic to the story.
And right? Maybe it was like a little bit too much for audiences too. Like they took a sharp turn with Man of Steel. That movie opens on Krypton and stuff like that. You got war and action going. It's something people haven't really seen in a Superman movie. They're used to the Christopher Reeves type. And Superman Returns was like the last Superman movie you got, and it was all very boring and like nothing much happened in it. But yeah, I think it threw people off. They weren't expecting that type of like scale to the movie, I guess you could say, or like maybe the tone was too dark for audiences. Maybe they were expecting something a little bit more lighter. I
want to ask you a couple of things, but then just remind me of this. I'm going to ask you 5 questions about. I'm going to make 5 changes to Man of Steel. And tell me if you have a problem with them. So that's the first thing. And I'm going to tell you also what I have a problem with on the kind of, script level of what happened. But I want to ask you, what do you really, really like about this movie? It's like one of your favorite kind of, films, I guess, in superhero films. What do you really love about that?
The action. I'm gonna be straight up. The action, the set design, I like a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
Costumes are good. I like the costumes.
Yeah.
I mean, you're right about the script, dude. Like, there's a reason David S. Goyer only wrote Man of Steel and he didn't come back for BVS.
Yeah.
Like,
and people think he wrote The Dark Knight and Batman.
Co-writer.
He did write. He did write, but like I've read the actual script because I was writing like a superhero origin script myself, and it's vastly changed. Nolan obviously put like a lot of the iconic bits in it. He reshuffled it or something like that, and then The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises was written by him and Christopher Nolan's brother.
Yeah.
So it's not, he himself is quite he did what's the bloody thing, Ghost Rider and all of these kind of movies before, which are not good. So I'm glad you said you like the action, because at least I can get on board with that. That's fine, because that's true. There's no doubt about it. The action's good. So where do people have a problem? Okay, I think this is the main thing that I have a problem with on a script level. I kind of leaned into it a bit with Zod, but it's just that there are too many holes in this story in terms of character motivations, in terms of just silly things happening, that you can forgive it once, twice, 3 times, but when it's like every other scene, there's something that you can kind of it eventually just collapses and falls apart, right? So my problem, Superman, right, like himself, again, you've made it overcomplicated. Zack Snyder knew everything he didn't want Superman to be, right? He didn't want it to be Chris Reeves. He knew he didn't want it to be like, the Superman from the comics or whatever. But I don't think he had a real idea of what he wanted his Superman to be. Therefore, Henry Cavill comes across quite like he's got no personality and he has no motivation, really. He just is reacting to what people are saying to him, right? So it's just, one speech after another. And the problem is, like, by the narrative, by the little you understand of his motivation, by the narrative, what you get is that this is a guy who's supposed to be like, he's trying to hide because he's basically sacrificed his father for some bizarre reason. He sacrificed his father to keep the secret, like to hide the secret. Okay, that's an interesting take on Superman. Let's go with that. But what's the first thing we see him do? He bursts in like to an oil rig, breaks the door off, all set on fire. It's like, okay, so why'd you let your father die? What is, so again, none of that is explained. You're never really given a motivation for why is Superman, why is he saving people? Is it just like, he just comes out the tin like that? Is there any real thing? Because his father on Earth is telling him, don't save, let kids die, don't save anyone. And so it's like, where does he get this from? Is it just because he's Superman and we're supposed to know, oh, Superman saves people? And that's the kind of problems you run into with that script, that it just doesn't quite work. I'm not saying it's as bad as critics said it was, by the way. I'd give it maybe 60. If I'm comparing it to MCU movies, it's a good 65 at least.
Right. That's a positive score too.
Yeah, exactly. If I'm comparing it to Thor and what's it? Well, Captain America's quite good actually. The first one is quite good. But yeah, it's that's the problem for me. That's where. Yeah,
I totally get that problem too. I mean, like, that's another question that's a legit, like, why does Superman have his morality? Like, who's giving it to him? Like, we assume it's like Mom and Pa Kent, but we don't actually see a scene where, they are teaching him about, what's right and wrong here. And that whole scene where Jonathan Kent goes, maybe, I thought was a very unique scene in Superman's lore, because we never really seen like Jonathan Kent question anything about like why Superman's on Earth. So it, like that,
but you needed another. You know how I would have fixed that? Like,
I would change the line. I would change
the line. But I would say, even if he does say like something like maybe, and then he's like, no, that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say you need to be careful, something like that. But I would have changed. That just before Pa Kent dies, right? Like they're having that conversation. I thought that was super interesting, because it's like it is like it's like Superman just being like an adopted kid, like going for his phrase where he's like, oh, you're not my dad or whatever, you're not my real, and I thought that's really clever to do with Superman, right? Because he's like but I would have just switched over their dialogue. Just get Pa Kent to be saying, look, you've got to go out in the world and find yourself. You can't just be a farmer. Look at everything you can do. You're brilliant, son. Go to university, go and it's Clark Kent saying, no, I look at how everyone treats me. They all think I'm a freak. I don't want to go out anywhere. I just want to hang out on the farm, and you can't tell me what to do with my powers, or what I can do or what to do with my abilities, because, you're not my dad. You're not my real dad. And my real dad would know that. You don't know that. And then, the tornado comes, and then, you get that situation where, Clark Kent almost realizes from that conversation he just had, like, oh, he's not ready. And he tells him to stop. Superman obviously hesitates, goes to try and save him, but it's too late. That's how I would have that. Again, with hindsight, I think if you looked at if someone was reading the Man of Steel script, I can completely see how the film got made. I really can. You reading the script and you see those speeches and you're just like, wow, but it's just, it forgot a big hole in the center, which was Superman's motivation, or Clark Kent's motivation, which made it harder to.
I mean, yeah, it could have been a simple scene with just like, Jonathan Kent, like, do you remember in BVS, that scene on top of the mountain where Jonathan Kent talks about saving the horses and saving the farm? Like, what if we saw them do that in Man of Steel? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And like little Clark Kent was helping his dad save the horses or something like that. And then hearing the horses from across the drowning, you know what I'm saying? Like, what if that was Clark Kent, like hearing the horses drowning and stuff like that? Like there's a bunch of things that could change, obviously.
I mean, I'm a huge fan of Batman Begins. This is the last criticism because I want to talk about some kind of praise of like the film, I'll give you like five things that I would change that I think would just be a good movie if they just changed these 5 things. Unfortunately, they didn't, so I don't like it. But, so what was I saying? I was just saying something. Oh right, the Batman Begins, like the way the architecture of how it did the flashbacks was just so much better than Man of Steel. You really, it connected the past and present really, really well, and I just think they could have done that a lot better, like that, because it was like the individual scenes were good in those flashbacks when he sees the teacher and whatever, but it would have been so much better if we saw the normal little Clark without powers, right, first, like just growing up on the farm, and then he goes into the school, and maybe have an external shot of the school so we can get a sense of place and whatever of that, and then he freaks out in class, and you have that scene, and it just would have been a lot stronger. I think a lot of it was like good scenes, attached together and not really ordered in a way that was really strong. Krypton should have been in the middle of the movie as well, by the way. You should have been in Clark's shoes. Like, he doesn't know where he's from. We shouldn't have found out about Krypton until the middle, but that's my...
And I think they originally designed Man of Steel to be more linear, to like show Clark growing up and then get to like the adult Superman stuff, but they intercut it, with the modern day stuff, which I don't think it was originally designed like that, which Batman Begins, that movie was designed like that. So it was something that happened in the editing process, but I think they definitely should have started on Krypton. I mean, put in the middle of the movie, that you got to start on Krypton blowing up here. I
know what you're saying. It's an exciting, thrilling start, but in terms of being in Clark's shoes, you want to be in Clark's shoes, right? Like, I know everyone knows where Superman's from, right? We all know he's Krypton, so we're all waiting for that reveal of what Krypton is. So I'm just saying, if you sacrifice that thrilling start, with just him landing and growing up and stuff, I think having Krypton in the middle, then you're searching with Clark to find, when he's going and finding the ship and finding all these kind of Kryptonian things, we're along with the ride with him. Like, oh, right, we're discovering, do you know what I mean? When you want to put yourself in the protagonist's shoes. It's not a huge criticism. I mean, that's not, that wasn't a deal breaker or anything, but it just, I think.
This guy makes a pretty good point about young Clark reading the Plato books and like the Republic stuff. That was in one scene in the movie where he's reading Plato, which is like really high reading level for like a little kid. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I guess he has a Kryptonian brain. He can understand what the book's about, but but maybe that's how he was getting his morality. He was reading books off camera. I don't know. Like, you know, that goes back to the writing. You know, they weren't. I don't know. They really weren't going into how he was getting his morality. They were just going into the aftermath of it. And I'll agree. Back to the writing, that shot where they're at the cemetery and he's talking about, you know, his dad. He's like, my father didn't want the world to see me, or something like that, you know. And he says that line like 2-3 times to like Lois, and I'm like, you know, what I'm saying, like, why are we repeating the same information over and over? He says, my father believed that the world found out who I really was, they reject me, and he says it like another 2 times before that scene's done. It's almost like the script itself is trying to convince itself that that's what the motivation is. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're like, all right, this is the same line. All right, we're going to keep doing this over and over here. I
didn't even notice that. I didn't notice that at all. But
go watch that scene. Yeah, it's
well. So, all right. Here's my question. I always ask it to. I've asked it to a few people who like Man of Steel, right? Because I think there's this big unnecessary divide. One, I love the fact that you just said I like the fucking action, because like, basically the action is cool, and it's like there's no denying that. And you know, you can admit that there's problems with the movie, but you know, all in all, it's from one perspective, it's like it's just a beautiful, well shot, you know, great music movie. And if you're not like so involved in caring about who Superman is and caring about how he's presented, I can completely see how you'd like the movie. But okay, so 5 things I will ask you. So if these scenes were changed in the movie, right, would it have made any difference to you? First of all, the maybe. You've already agreed that if he said something else, it wouldn't have changed the movie for you, right?
Yeah, he could have said, I don't know. I think it would have had the same impact, the same thing, you know, like, I mean, yeah, maybe it was a step too far. I don't know.
Okay, so Clark tries to save his father but fails. You'd be fine with that as a change, right?
Because the traditional thing is that he just has a heart attack. Superman can't control it. But in this, I really feel like he's just respecting his father's wishes. You know what I'm saying? Like he respects his father that much that he's not gonna, he's not gonna disobey him when he's telling him to do something. But
I think he should have just hesitated and then said, "Of course, I'm going to save my father." But
it was just too late. Yeah,
a little, you know. I think that would have got the point across, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think that would have changed the movie so much.
Yeah.
That, you know, people who like the movie will be like, "Oh no, he didn't say maybe you should kill kids, and he didn't try and save his father just briefly and failed. Now I hate the movie." Right? It's like, I think you can still like the movie with those 2 additions, and I think so. If he had have just explained his motivations for saving people, just at one point, given one piece of, you know, really character defining dialogue. You know, one of the examples I often use is like in Batman Begins. A great scene is Bruce Wayne at his birthday party, right, where he suddenly tells the guests to leave and whatever, and he's being a real asshole about it, and then he goes on to explain, like, you know, have that debate with Ra's al Ghul as to why he wants to save the city. The reason I love that scene is because that is the scene that tells you who Bruce Wayne is. He tells you why he's doing things. He tells you what he will risk to do the right thing. It says everything without like laying it down thick, you know, like, you know, just telling us, right? It does it, you know, by showing us essentially.
Yeah.
I don't think there's an equivalent scene for that in Man of Steel for Clark Kent. And I think that's sorely missing. Do you agree or you disagree? Maybe I haven't thought of it.
Well, it's tough to tell because like this is Superman's like first like attempt at being Superman. I really think they shouldn't have even called him Superman in the movie. Like they shouldn't even been teasing that. Like he shouldn't even know his name yet until like the very end of the movie or something like that. Because just the way he fights near the end, it's like he just doesn't know how to beat Superman yet. And as far as like we having scenes where we could have developed his morality and his character more, that just comes back down to the script. But that stuff alone, I don't think makes the movie bad or worse than any other Superman movie. Like I would much rather watch Man of Steel than Superman Returns, like 10 times out of 10. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not even close. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
we'll have to have that debate. But I think it was a stupid mistake to do Superman Returns. I think doing a Superman film where you're going back to Chris Reeves was a very bad decision. That being said, I don't think the movie's as bad as some people make out.
Kevin Spacey's the best Lex Luthor. He's the best.
He's decent. I really, it's fine. By the way, going back to who was the guy who commented? I can't see the chat.
Make sure you click your on the side. It says like private and comment or something like that. Make sure you click.
Okay, cool.
There you go.
The guy, it's interesting actually about what he's saying about the morality coming from Plato, because it's Socrates in this book. The Republic. Don't ask me why I know this, but he basically says that any noble or virtuous man, in the world or whatever, if there was a truly virtuous man, he would be killed essentially, or be destroyed. So I think that was like the reason for Clark reading that book, was like, if you get the reference that Socrates was saying that. But I think Zack was getting there with the character of Superman. I think he just needed a sequel to cement it. I think I could have gone back after a good sequel and watched that movie and been like, oh, okay. But it's because of the thing that followed it just made it even worse with Superman. I like BVS, by the way, but I don't like Superman in it. Like that to me still isn't Superman. But as a movie, I think it's actually a lot better than people give credit for.
100%. 100%. Yeah. So what were the other things? You said you had 5 things. What was it?
Oh, right. There was 5. But basically, it's just this. So I'll put it this way. What I'm saying is that I think when you're doing one of these, superhero movies, whether it's Wonder Woman or Batman or whatever, I think it's important that you strive to get new audiences, right? Get a new audience with it, but you also try and appease the fans of that character or that IP, as well, right? You don't try and piss them off, because if you piss them off, you're going to get division, because people who don't necessarily know or not know, I'm not going to say it like that, I don't want to be patronizing, but people who are more flexible with with their interpretations and what they see as a valid interpretation, those people will like the movie, and then there'll be people who just like action movies, and there'll be half the audience who likes it and then half the audience, or at least a good portion of the audience, who doesn't. And that's really bad for a franchise and for thing. And you can see it going on. There's it's like a fucking warfare between
every day. Yeah.
It's so funny. It's like we should all be loving these movies and supporting them. I'll support any Superman movie, like whatever. I went to see Man of Steel maybe 3 times. First date I went on actually with a girl to a cinema where I didn't get laid after. So that probably didn't help.
That left a bad taste in your mouth.
Probably didn't help.
But that's the whole point of the 5-movie story arc, right? To build up Superman. But I disagree with that. I don't think you need 5 movies to make Superman a character. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not that complicated when you think about it. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And there is a line in Man of Steel. No, it's in BVS. All the good. Well, no, maybe it is in Man of Steel, where someone's on the news and they're like, maybe he's just a guy trying to do the right thing. I think that might be BVS.
It is. Yeah.
So I think if you had that kind of stuff in Man of Steel, people, he's just trying to do the right thing. I'm just here to help.
Speeches, man. I like the speeches in Man of Steel. They were great.
Yeah.
Like, that was one of my favorite things. I was just like, I remember. I haven't told you, Superman's my favorite superhero. Absolutely, 100% my favorite superhero. So I remember watching that Man of Steel trailer, and I nearly fucking cried, man. Like, straight up, like a little tiny baby tear in my eye when it was like, what was the speech from Pa Kent? It's good man or bad. You're gonna change.
Yeah, change the world. Yeah.
I was floored, man, because it reminded me of like the 78 Superman and the relationship between him and his dad. I thought the speeches were great. I just wish Superman had more of a character. That's basically it. I think I could put down my criticism of Man of Steel if he just wasn't so wooden and was more.
That comes down on Henry Cavill, though. I really feel that just comes down to him as an actor. Which a lot of people like Henry Cavill or nothing. I'm like he's not that great, guys. Like, I'm saying he's all right. He's not the greatest Superman ever. He's pretty good. I mean, he has the body, I guess.
I wouldn't mind him coming back. I honestly,
I wouldn't mind it.
I really do think like. I know everyone's going to hate me on your channel now, but I really do think that he'd be great for like a Red Sun adaptation, or like just a direct adaptation of Red Sun, or Injustice or something like that. Do an Injustice movie with him, but do another Superman in the Batson universe, like reboot Superman, because it's not just Superman. Isn't just about Clark Kent and Superman. It's about the whole supporting cast around him, and they're weak, bro.
They do get shafted in Man of Steel a little bit. I mean, you only get a little Perry White, a little Lois Lane. Lombard's not. He has like a couple lines, and they don't have Jimmy Olsen. They just scrap Jimmy Olsen.
Poor Jimmy, man.
Lombard, though, he gets a heroic moment in Man of Steel. He tries to help the girl out of the rubble.
After which she says she won't go to a basketball game with him. I'm like, what a fucking bitch.
Yeah, right? Everything he did for you. But still, I definitely think the highs of Man of Steel, like the high moments of the film, outweigh some of these negatives, because that whole moment where he destroys the world engine, that's very Superman to me. That's stuff I've seen in the comics a lot of times. Everything's over and he somehow saves the day.
How do you feel about him killing? I was going to say, what do you mean AHK when you say the character? What do you mean winking at the camera and smiling? Define. I don't know what do you mean by that.
I guess he's. I don't know. I don't know what he means by that. I don't know. It confused me.
I was looking at it. I was confused. What was your question? You had a good question just then.
Oh boy. Do the high moments of the film outweigh the negatives? You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's Superman is my favorite hero, and I can't watch that. I've watched it maybe 2.5 times. Like, it's so hard for me to watch. It's like I don't like, no, it's because it's like dragging your favorite thing through like a mud or something. It's just I know what's good about the movie. I know that score is good. I know the action's good. I know, but he does so many un-Superman like things. It's like
destroying that dude's truck and stuff like that. Yeah,
he's destroying everything, and he's not trying to save everyone. And I get it. I fully get it. The way Zod was coming at him, it would be very hard for him to like suddenly save a cat from a tree or something. But just a little nod to it, like just a little attempt. And there's bits where he's doing the destroying, and it's like, or just allowing things to be destroyed. And I just think it's. I liked BVS so much more, and I think it's because I was ready for Zack's interpretation. I wasn't ready for that in Man of Steel, right? Like when I saw the trailers, I didn't think that's what it was going to be. So there's a lot of bias. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of bias in me. So it's, it's more of a fanboy critique than a film critique. But I do have things on a fundamental level about the film that I also think don't work. But I don't think it takes it down to being a bad movie. I think it's, you'd knock like 30 points off it, like, 65 up to 70%. Nah, not my Superman.
But that's the thing Zack Snyder said about those movies, right? He says for a niche audience. That was one of the things he said about Man of Steel and BVS. And like you said, I don't think you want a Superman movie being for niche audiences when the whole world knows the character and has expectations for the character and stuff like that.
I think there's also a thing where it's kind of like silly because, as I told you, if he had have changed those 3 things, there's more. There was 2 more I couldn't think of at the moment. But if he had to change those 3 things, I know like a lot of Superman fans would have just supported it and liked that movie a lot more. Right? Just those few things. But again, hindsight.
AHK. This is the problem, though. You can't deconstruct a character before you've built them. You know what I'm saying? You can't just start with the deconstruction. You got to establish everything about them first. And then, like, the deconstruction part should come like 4 movies in. 4 or 5, you got to establish who they are first.
The deconstruction bit's the fun bit. You have to do the legwork to do the deconstruction. Like, I want to see a Red Sun Superman. But I don't think you can really do a Red Sun Superman now until people have attachments to Superman. You need to have people have to have a real attachment to Superman before you can do like stuff like that.
As you said about like Superman should be saving more people and he's causing destruction. I kind of disagree with that because he's fighting the Kryptonians. Like they're on his same level. Like it's tough for him to really try to save. And in the Smallville fight, he does save that one trooper that falls out of a helicopter, right? He saves one person. Like I know, like all this shit's going on, but he still is able to save that one guy. And
told people to go inside the house and then destroys all the houses.
They just lock the door that stops them from like getting blown up and stuff like that. Man. Superman's trying, and there's a moment where he tries to fly out of Smallville, and then like Nod like jumps on his back and brings him back down. So there's moments like that. Yeah,
with these things, you're right, but it could be more, a little bit more. There's a tiny bit more. It would have helped it a lot. Like just, you know what I mean? In the end, it's not a documentary. It's a piece of fiction, right? So you can change it. So it's
that would be an awesome Superman movie if they shot it like a documentary. That would be fucking dope.
That man, we should do something.
But yeah, I mean that whether or not he could have stopped any of the fucking damage that was happening in Metropolis, I think it's like 50-50 on that. I don't know. Zod was really angry. Like Zod was really like, what is he gonna do?
I absolutely think that he that it was shot very, like as it would kind of happen in a way. Like if you've got those 2 superpowered people fighting like that, he's got very little time to think, on his about but it's still Superman. Like you just need to do it. It doesn't matter if it breaks realism. We just want to see that one moment where he tries to save like the people, or he does save some people.
And, when it comes to the Snyder cut, like you're not going to get that either because it's Superman coming back from the dead. He doesn't know who he is. It's going to be another like growing Superman again.
I think it's going to be good. I really do.
Snyder's going to be great. It's going to be 4 hours of epicness.
What I haven't liked about it is just the Joker. That's the only thing that I haven't liked about what I've seen so far. It was the Joker Christ thing. I thought that was a bit weird, but everything else I liked.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that. I don't get that. This guy keeps bringing up some points here. The deconstruction behind the actual movie was Superman's origin, the why he's even doing what he does. That's the point, though. They don't really give a why, right?
Sorry, I just was reading it. Carry on.
They don't really give the why, though, in Man of Steel. Like, why is Superman saving people? Like, just because? Like, what I'm saying? Just because he feels like it? that's kind of a fucked up version of Superman, honestly. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're all at the whim of Superman's mercy. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if he's having a bad day, we're all fucked. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, that's always the thing about Superman. He can get dark real quick. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't like the idea that it's just, oh, he's just a good guy. You know what I'm saying? Because then one day maybe he changes his mind, and then we're all fucked. There has to be, yeah.
I love deconstructions of Superman.
Yeah.
That's why he's my favorite character, because you can do such interesting deconstructions. Because, like, if something changes about Batman, all it affects is Gotham. If something changes about Superman, it's like a worldwide fucking issue. If Superman goes evil, we're fucked, right? But you have to have the attachment to Superman first. It's so important, because, you know, where do you go from here, right? Like, if you do a Red Sun and it's like, you know, Marvel Superman, it's like the Red Sun Superman's more heroic.
the Russian Superman, the Soviet
one. Yeah, I mean, I like the deconstructions a lot. I just think you have to.
Oh my god, super high. Joker is Christ because on Darkseid's Earth he creates his own religion, a twisted one, a cult. Oh boy, Super High is making some meta jokes right there. You tell me Joker's making a cult? Don't what? But anyway, yeah. But anything more you want to say about Superman? Huh?
It's Hubs. He says everyone keeps wanting the bright, sunny Marvel construction, and that's totally backwards to what life is. What life is really like. Zack started with Bones and is slowly building the character.
Yeah, and that the whole 5-movie arc, but like the chances of us getting that, I mean, it's very like, why do we need 5 movies?
When you take a risk like that, then you might not see your vision through, because people might not, you know, you need to make the character who they are, and then you can, you know, do arcs where, you know, he's not so Superman, he gives up on himself a bit, you know, in the 2nd or 3rd movie, and then he has
Batman versus Superman. I guess it kind of possibly,
and then has to find himself again. You can't you really have to like make the superhero by the end of the first origin movie. I think. I think. And to be fair, I think that's what Zack Snyder thought he had done by the end of Man of Steel.
Yeah, and the whole 5-movie arc, is dead at this point. We're lucky. We would be lucky as hell if he got a sequel to his Justice League, and if he did, like, wrap it up in that sequel. You know what I'm saying? Like, he better like fucking like there better be a cap on this shit. You know
I really hope for his daughter. It's really good and it's well received.
I think it will be.
I hope so. I have high hopes for it. He does annoy me though sometimes, Zack Snyder, but like I'm not gonna go into that.
I know what you mean. When he started talking about Richard Grayson being the dead Robin, I was like, why even bring that up? It's not. Yeah. They don't even mention his name in the movie. Just don't bring it up. You know what I'm saying? Like,
don't do it. All I'd say about Zack Snyder is I just think a little bit on a leash, where he can, because he's got so many good ideas, some bad, but like he just needs to have somebody there to like go. That's just like it. Like with the Lois banging Batman. You know, it's just like, dude, what do you want to do? I mean, you want the Superman fans to riot? You know, it's like
you want Superman to be evil. Like that's a good way to make him more pissed off. You know, I guess.
Yeah, it's like that's just too much. So I think this one, because it had so many studio notes, you know, before it even went into production, I think it will help. I think the synergy between those studio notes that told him not to go over the edge, and I think you've got a bit of a more brighter Superman I've seen from some scenes.
I mean, he's in a black suit the whole time. I don't know. Like, does he know who he is? Like,
he's Alfred, though, isn't he? When he comes in, you know, when Alfred is fixing the Batmobile, and he comes in, and it's like the Jurassic Park moment. He comes in with the he's smiling when he comes in, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, like, you know, that'll help. You know,
yeah. So, make him happy. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm hopeful for it. I'm hopeful for it. I really am. And yeah, if you can make a alternate kind of universe, I've always said I don't know why DC or Warner Brothers would be stupid enough to stop doing business with Zack Snyder. He's got an army of dedicated fans, so it doesn't make sense to me that he would do that or they would do that. I just think they should put him doing adaptations of graphic novels. That's why I think he'd be so talented. He's got such an eye. Just get someone making that main universe work and get him doing some Elseworld, dark,
and it comes back to that J.J. Abrams Superman. Like, that looks like J.J. Abrams is going to be that guy to shape some future movies. I don't know how I feel about that. I definitely do not feel good about the fucking writer they got.
From the panic to the fire, as they say. Yeah, Jesus. He's so
let's talk about the Black Superman. Let's talk about that Black Superman.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's do that. That's great. Oh, thanks for sending me that Ray Fisher. That's hilarious. So we can bring that up in this as well. So what do you want to say about Black Superman? It doesn't make any sense.
They haven't given any details about it, really. I mean, if it's Clark Kent that they're race bending, no way. You can't do that. If it's a new character entirely, that's fine. But like, you can't change Clark.
They're race bending Clark Kent.
They better not. They better not.
I don't get it. I really, I keep thinking this Tahishi, whatever his name is, like, what he should be focused on is like, if he really wants to like help the Black cause, right, is like make a good Superman movie, make $1 billion Superman movie. Right. Bring.
They're yet to do that, really.
Be the hero over there at DC, and then go. You know what? I want to adapt 3 Black characters from DC's library. Give me 150 million. I want a Vixen movie. I've just made $1 million. I want a Static Shock movie, right? Like, do that. That's what you do. Don't piss everyone off. Like, you're gonna piss racists off because there are some racists who just don't like that shit.
They out there.
Piss off like people who are sensible, who are just like, dude, he comes from fucking Kansas. It's like it's improbable that this he shouldn't be. Look, Superman shouldn't be white, first of all. Like, he shouldn't be Caucasian. He should be like a green alien or something like that.
Right. Like Martian Manhunter, Yeah.
Like a human. But since he looks like a human and he's shot into Kansas and he's supposed to, be brought up by this family, less questions will be asked in a Kansas family, like, who are probably white. Like, I think what was it, 84% white?
It's something crazy like that. Yeah,
graphics and like
it's ridiculous.
There's about 50,000 farmers, and 200 of them are Black, or 200 of them are non-white in Kansas. So it's just a probability issue, and it just doesn't make sense to me that you'll have to keep on explaining that, and you'll have to keep on telling me how this changes Superman, right? So for me, if you're going to race bend a character, I think you should race bend if you change the character's color, it changes nothing about the story, right? You can change the character's color, nothing changes about the story. If that's the case, race bend. If you have to start asking questions and weird things keep coming up about them, like the Fantastic Four, right? You remember the new one where it's like the sister and brother are like,
they're adopted. Yeah.
It's like, can we just explain that, please? Just a little bit. Like, I don't think they say they're adopted. It's just
that's what I have to do to make the movie make sense. Yeah. Like,
when those things happen, I think that's pointless. And there's other reasons that I think Superman shouldn't be Black either, but those are more deep. I don't know if I can talk to you about it after, but what's your thoughts?
I think it's a horrible idea. I mean, I think I made an hour stream talking about the writer, Ta-Nehisi Coates or whatever, and his horrible worldviews. It's very, I don't agree with anything he's saying.
I was talking to you about that, and
yeah,
to me, I really, so I said like it could be taken out of context, and then you put a bigger
the whole paragraph. Yeah, I was like,
taken out of context. And you know why I'm on guard about those things is because every time there's like a black person or even women or something like that, they often do just get attacked like for very small, like one thing they said, right? And it's all like, oh, he said this, he's this horrible monster and blah blah blah. So I'm always kind of on guard about that. But I did watch because I was like, I'm going to research this guy. I want to know who's taking over Superman. And I read some of his Captain America comic. Not terribly written, but not great either. It's not enough to be like, oh yeah, we're gonna hand you Superman. And then I saw some of his views on America and what's going on. And I'm going to defend him on this one thing. That I think that he is a product of a system that is deeply problematic. And he's trying to come to terms with that and understand that. And you have to understand, I know you white guy, and I think you're Jewish, right? If I remember, like part
Jewish. All right. Yeah.
So I know it's something that you probably wouldn't have contemplated before, but like there is, especially in America. I lived in America for a little bit, but I never faced any racism at the time. I was living in a quite middle class area. There, knowing about the history, knowing about Jim Crow, knowing about slavery, knowing about how that kind of reached into the 80s and the prison population and the African American community going up, the whole criminal justice system and the problems in that area. He's a product of really perceiving the world through that, And what he's saying about those things are true to a large degree. The only problem is he comes to the wrong conclusions, in my opinion. So I saw something on him where he was saying a bunch of things I broadly speaking agreed with. There was another white guy talking with him, like a mayor of Louisiana or something like that. And he's basically saying good things, like what the problems are in the black community and stuff like that. And then somebody asked him, what should you do about it? Or what would you do if you were like king of the world? What would you do? And he started talking about how he would release all the prisoners from prison, even the violent ones. And I'm like, oh, okay, you just jumped the shot, right? So I think the guy has some ludicrous conclusions, but he's got some valid.
Yeah, I mean, I think it has a lot to do with the poverty line and stuff like that. And black people in America were systematically kept below the poverty line for such a long time that they never had a chance to gain wealth or anything. That's why a lot of inner cities are filled with black people, because that's how they drew the lines. You know what I'm saying? That's how they placed them.
Red tape. Yeah, exactly. And I think, and you hit on something as well. We should be talking more about pop culture than politics, but you hit on something very interesting, which is, it's a class issue as well. And we must forget that white people are suffering a lot in the, in the current economic system as well in America. So it's one of those things where I think that a lot of the problems of the black community are a class issue more than it is, strictly speaking, whatever, although there's some racial history going on there as well. So my thing is, I always worry that isn't being, stated enough, because most white people in America have very much in common with most black people in America, right? It's these 1% of people that are really like dividing us, along these kind of racial lines, when really we've got a lot of the same problems. So it's something I always think is worthy of mentioning.
I mean, could you imagine if everybody came to the conclusion that the 1% was the problem, and we just gotta,
Yeah, exactly.
we just gotta march into their houses and drag them out of their houses. No, no, that's horrible. Okay, but Michael B. Jordan in the movie, he's been pitching this whole Black Superman thing.
All right, Lex Luthor.
He would. He really would. Yeah.
Lex Luthor. I don't know what. Maybe he has more sense. I hope he does to play. I don't think he'd be a good Superman. He's way too good looking, and this is one thing I don't like about Cavill. I think Cavill is, he's a bit too GQ looking for Clark Kent. You want a Clark Kent that when he puts on the glasses and fronts up a bit, that he's the kind of guy that everyone would think was a nerd. Are you looking at the time? Because I know you usually want like an hour long.
Yeah, we're around an hour, but we can just keep talking about this a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So can we both hate or we both love equally?
what do we hate or love? What?
I was going to say, like, to finish it off, we could maybe talk about something we both agree on, like something we both love or something we both hate equal.
What do you want to talk about?
Well, I'll think about it. We can maybe talk to
the next snap in Man of Steel. Brilliant, right? Let's agree. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I love it.
No one had a problem with it. I really feel, dude. I really feel
Snyder is showing Henry Cavill how to do it.
He's actually having so much fun.
Such a great look on his face.
He's so happy about it. It's so weird. But yeah, I really feel like if you did change that next snap to anything else to conclude the fight, maybe the film doesn't get trashed as much as it does. Maybe it's not as divided. Maybe more people will come on board, and maybe more people are willing to accept BVS.
I think a lot of Superman fans forgave Zack Snyder for Man of Steel until BVS came out. I think that was where it was like, okay, we can understand how Man of Steel happened because ultimately there's some like good speeches. It is an interesting character motivation. What if this guy was like worried about coming out and what the world would think if they knew about like there was an alien walking among them who was a god. That's a really interesting take. So I can see how the movie got made, but it seemed like on the feedback level, it's like Zack Snyder didn't get the memo, right? Like for BVS. And that's where I think, it kind of turned on him a little. And it's unfortunate because I think BVS is actually like got some really good parts to it. And I love how ballsy it is as a movie. I love how, it's one that like, not unlike a lot of superhero movies these days, it actually wants you to think about some things, right? It's like, even if you don't like it, like you can at least appreciate that it swung for the fences and tried to do something different and interesting. So I like BVS. I don't know if you've got that from my channel, from watching my channel, but I actually do like BVS.
And, what would you change about the Zod next snap, though? How would you change it to end the movie? I think throwing him into the Phantom Zone probably would have been the likely thing to do. But, maybe throwing him into the sun. I don't know.
Well, make him more powerful.
I would.
I guess. You know what? I wouldn't. I guess this is a cop out, but I wouldn't have had God be the villain in the first movie. I would have had like Parasite would have been good. Somebody that Superman could fucking deal with, that he doesn't have to fucking kill.
Parasite's the opposite. You can't punch him at all. You can't damage him, or else he gets stronger. That would have been a good villain.
I would have had something like that, and then set up for a Brainiac movie. Or you know what? If you're gonna do a space invasion, do Brainiac, because then he has a bunch of Terminators that you can just punch.
Snap all their necks.
Snap as many of their necks as possible. It doesn't fucking matter. So that's how I would have fixed that problem. I would have just said, let's just turn him into Brainiac. It's more a Brainiac thing as well to do a world vision and all of that kind of stuff.
We're gonna be waiting forever on that Brainiac movie. That should be the movie. Instead of doing this Michael B. Jordan, J.J. Abrams, Coates thing, just make a Brainiac Superman movie. Like, what the hell? With Henry Cavill. Yeah.
I've been waiting for a Brainiac he's my favorite Superman villain.
Did you read
I think he should be Superman's arch villain. I don't think I like Lex Luthor, but I don't know that he makes sense as the arch villain of a man who can move planets. Right?
Yeah.
I know, but I do. When he's written well, it's so good.
Yeah.
Like, have you read like Lex Man of Steel?
Yeah. Who wrote it again?
Fuck. That's such a good question.
I remember the cover and everything too.
He wrote the Joker one as well.
Yeah.
Right.
What's it? Oh man, someone's gonna mention here in the sides.
Yeah, anyone who can tell us that would be great. But yeah, no, the Lex Luthor in that is amazing. Just like that's the guy you wanna be in the films. But it's just one of those things that he's either written really, really well or he's written badly, because you have to figure out even though he's like really smart, how does he really pose a challenge to Superman? You know? It's like
Azzarello wrote it. Yeah.
That's good.
I knew his name. Yeah, that was a great run. That was a great run right here. But yeah. What was the Brainiac story that got you hooked onto the Superman Brainiac? Was it written by that one guy that we're not allowed to mention? Was it?
Oh right, yeah. No, it is. I'm just I should probably put a disclaimer in like everything I usually say about like Ray Fisher or whatever. But
yeah,
I am a huge Jeff Johns fan. But I don't think my opinion would change either way. I've said it before. I've wanted to go on, Poindexter Lounge and just ask, like, if Ray Fisher was making these accusations about Zack Snyder, same accusations, just vague, like he was gross.
He enabled. Yeah,
he was enabler. He was gross. He sent me racist notes and gave you no proof about it. Would you be supporting him? Right? Do you understand? Like, as a hypothetical, what I'm saying, like, basically, take Josh Whedon away and say Ray Fisher's saying all this stuff about Zack Snyder. Now, I know Zack Snyder's a really nice guy and he doesn't do all of that stuff. He's really like, the way he is with. But you can imagine somebody just doesn't like him. He rubs him the wrong way, or them the wrong way, and they say all that stuff about him. Would they be like, oh yeah, I stand with Ray Fisher if it was against Zack Snyder? I don't think so. And that says something. That says there's bias in the reason that they're.
And I don't really give a fuck that he went after Josh Whedon. I don't really care about that. You go after Josh Whedon all you want. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's true. But you know what? Yeah. Like, still, there's one story that for me makes Jeff Johns a legend, and that's when he called up. Apparently, he called up Ray Fisher, and he talked about Cyborg. Started laughing at him, telling him how he's what's it called? Casted a new Cyborg. I was in tears when I read that. It's like, what the hell was that conversation? Did he just phone up, guys?
I can't even imagine like what the conversation's like. Hey Ray, you want to hear about my cyborg? Like, what? I can't.
It makes sense. It's not like he's cast him in another movie or he's recasted him. It's just
not
like,
I've
got a cyborg on my show.
And then he just hangs up. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, well, how'd the whole conversation go?
Why is Ray so offended by that? It's just so weird. He's got he seems really sensitive, like really.
Yeah, I don't know why. He's not bad at all. And like the Cyborg story in Justice League is gonna be dope. Like the whole they came out yesterday or the day before. Zack Snyder was talking. Somebody was talking about. I think it was Junkie XL. He said. That the Cyborg origin is going to be like 15 minutes of the movie. It's going to be like, a good little chunk. You're going to see his whole origin and him getting blown up and stuff like that. I can't wait. That's the kind of stuff I wanted to see when the movie was coming out originally.
When are the reviews coming out?
Huh?
When are the reviews coming out?
Soon. aren't they? Don't they see the movie like this week? The critics and stuff.
This week.
Yeah.
God damn, the 18th, man.
Yeah, it's so close. 17 days.
It's gonna burn down the whole like fucking internet. I think. What happened?
Dude, yeah, I can't.
It's gonna burn down the whole internet.
A lot of these, Snyder fans online, they think the critics are gonna bash it again. They think they're gonna bash it, but I don't think that's the case because they framed the Snyder Cut in a way that if you bash the movie, you're kind of shitting on his dead daughter. You know what I'm saying? Like they framed it in that way. Like the whole Vanity Fair article is all talking about how this is all dedicated to his daughter and stuff like that, all the tragedy he went through. So now if you shit on the movie, like you know what I'm saying, you're kind of like I think though you're not gonna look good.
I think I honestly the critics were really, really hard on the first DCU movies.
Oh, yeah.
I think Suicide Squad, yeah, okay. It wasn't a masterpiece. It wasn't like come on, give me a break. This movie's better than worse or is in the same level as Catwoman.
Yeah.
Batman and Robin. No fucking way. It was a better movie than that. It deserved
entertaining.
Yeah, around like 65%. It was just so Suicide Squad, Batman v Superman, I thought were both good. And you notice that trend continues. There's like MCU fanboys who are actual critics on Rotten Tomatoes and just hate everything that DC does, and from BVS Suicide Squad, they were just roasting it like, oh, it's so dark and da da da. Was Suicide Squad actually that dark? It was quite humorous, wasn't it?
Yeah. And it had all that pop music, you know what I'm saying?
Pop music. What was this whole fucking dark? It's like I'd watched a completely different movie from everyone else. The only thing I didn't like, which I agreed with them, was the Joker was pretty terrible in that movie, to be honest. Like, well, after Heath Ledger and after Jack Nicholson, you have to really up your game when it comes to the Joker, and that was not a good Joker. But
honka honka,
yeah, sorry,
honka honka. You know what I'm saying? Favorite part of the
movie. It wasn't a masterpiece. I just thought it was a pulp. It reminded me of Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, really?
Me of a little bit like the aesthetic and
he says Suicide Squad is better than Wonder Woman 84. I bet Nerdman would agree with you on that.
Skippy, that movie was trash.
Hey, it was good, but it can be better. But it can.
Yeah.
It can be better.
You liked it a little, right?
Oh yeah, I watched it like 4 times when it came out, like back to back. I was just like, all right.
I would argue that opening is one of the best openings in a comic book movie ever.
Yeah,
like that Amazon Games opening, and then like it's somewhere when they get on like the invisible jet. Like
that shit made no sense, really. The whole invisible jet thing.
But like that stretch all the way to when she she fights Cheetah. I actually thought that movie, that little bit of the movie was okay. I thought it was good.
They just had to go with wishes. Could you have done anything else? Like, why wishes?
They just shot that. Why did they change the? I know that DC autocorrects movies a lot but they auto-corrected a movie that everyone loved. Like it was like Wonder Woman. Everyone loved it. Why? They loved the tone. They loved the like realism. They loved, why?
Just keep the same thing. Keep going.
Changing. It's so bizarre, that movie to me.
World War II should have been the next movie. Like it should have been. Yeah.
Should fuck her in World War II. Have her face, the cheaters, some Nazi science creation or something.
Yeah. And I'll never get behind the whole she raped somebody. I'll never get behind that. That is.
I don't think she did. It's so.
I don't think she did. It's a little ludicrous, and I think anybody would gladly be raped by Gal Gadot. You know what I'm saying? Even people that are gay would probably like.
It's not. It's this points thing, like like, oh, it can happen to us as well, like like men, like going, oh, it can happen to us as well. That's equivalent. It's not really, is it though? First of all, you want to sleep with Gal Gadot, like, so let's take that off the table straight away. But like beyond that, I really don't think like basically she didn't know when she slept with him that guy was ever going to return to his body. Right. So what would Steve Trevor say? Steve Trevor stayed in that body, he would never be allowed to have sex. Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, I guess.
He would have to somehow ask for consent from somebody who doesn't exist. It's wrong.
I really feel like they think it's like that movie Get Out, where the dude is trapped in the mind. He's like watching it passively through the eyes and stuff like that. Like he has no control of his body. I think that's what people are thinking of.
Yeah, he wasn't there.
Yeah, he's gone. He's gone, which is fucked up. You know what I mean? He's probably in the afterlife. Like, why am I here? Like, what?
Don't get me wrong. The film shouldn't have done it. They shouldn't have done that storyline at all. But like, still, it wasn't rape. It was something else, probably bad. But
anyway. That's going to do it for now. We talked about Man of Steel, the pros and cons.
Enjoyable, man. It was enjoyable.
We'll do BVS next at some point. We'll figure out a day. Yeah.
We'll talk about that. I'd love to talk about that. That's the one I like, so we'll have a lot in common. Do you like Lex Luthor in that?
Yeah, I like him a lot. I think a lot of people hate him for, just because he's not the traditional Lex. He's not the traditional looking, badass looking Lex.
We'll talk about that next time because I've got a lot to say. I like the Lex a lot in that.
Yeah, we'll definitely do it before Justice League comes out.
Yes,
and then we'll definitely talk about Justice League too. Anyway. Peace out, guys.
Hi to what's his Shadow? I like him as well. He's cool. Shadow
Vessel. Yeah.
Shadow Vessel. So anyway, cool, man. Thanks a lot. Really enjoyed it. And,
no problem. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye. All right. See, and now it's ending. Great. Thanks, man.
No, that was cool, man.
I think we did a lot of points. A lot of the